Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into Mussar, a really old Jewish spiritual practice that's getting a new life as a powerful toolkit for personal growth. So if you're looking for a practical, really meaningful way to work on yourself, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's just start with a question that, let's be honest, we all ask ourselves. Why is it so incredibly hard to be the person we actually want to be? We have our values, our big goals, but then we also have these blind spots, these habits that just keep tripping us up over and over.
There's this fantastic quote from a modern Mussar teacher, Alan Mornis, that just nails this feeling perfectly. He talks about the things that dunk you in the same soup time and time again. And you know that feeling, right? That feeling of being stuck, just repeating the same old patterns in your relationships or at work, even when you know they're not working for you.
So how do we get out of the soup? Well, that's exactly where Mussar comes in. It's not some quick fix, believe me. It's an ancient path, a discipline that's designed to help us find our footing and, just move toward a sense of balance.
So what is Mussar? Well, at its core, it's all about working on our inner character. It's not just about following a list of rules. I heard one teacher put it perfectly. Mussar is about teaching the heart what the mind already understands. It's a whole framework for closing that gap between the person we want to be and the person who actually shows up every single day.
And look, this is not some new wellness trend. The ideas go back over 1,000 years in Jewish thought. But it was really founded as a movement in the 1800s in Lithuania by Rabbi Yisrael Salanter. He saw it as a response to the spiritual and social challenges of his time. And now it's having this huge revival because people are looking for its timeless wisdom to help with the challenges of our time.
And that leads us to this really fascinating idea in Mussar, the concept of a personal spiritual curriculum. What if the challenges in our lives, the things that keep dunking us in that soup, what if they aren't just random? What if they're actually our homework?
This curriculum is built around what Mussar calls middat, which are basically our soul traits. So think of things like humility, patience, generosity, even anger. But here's the key idea. Mussar says no trait is inherently good or bad. The real work isn't about, stamping out our flaws. It's about bringing all of our traits into balance.
Let's make this super concrete with patience. We all know what too little patience looks like, right? Road rage, snapping at someone you love. But Mussar points out that too much patience can also be a real problem. It can turn into just inaction. It's what lets a bad situation at work drag on, or what stops you from speaking up when you should. The goal, the sweet spot, is that healthy, active, discerning middle ground.
So your personal curriculum is made up of traits like these: humility, gratitude, order, trust. The very first step is just to look at a list like this and ask yourself, okay, where am I a little bit off balance? Where do I have way too much of one thing or way too little of another? That's where you start.
Okay, so we've got the what. Now, let's talk about the how. Because Mussar isn't just about thinking nice thoughts. It's a very practical, hands-on discipline. It's all about doing.
The path is actually a pretty simple 3-stage process. It all kicks off with awareness, just noticing your patterns, your triggers, without judging them. Then comes action, where you practice taking these small, deliberate steps to do something different. And the ultimate goal is transformation, where those new actions literally start to reshape the impulse underneath it all.
So what does that action stage really look like? Well, it's not about waking up one day and suddenly being a totally humble person. It's about picking one small, concrete action. So if you lean toward arrogance, maybe you just practice letting everyone else in the meeting talk before you do. It's a tiny stretch toward balance that, when you do it enough, builds a whole new habit.
And there's a whole toolkit to help you with this. People who practice Mussar often focus on one soul trait for a week or two, using journaling to get aware. They set these small, actionable goals for themselves. And, this is so important, they often do this work in a small group, because that community gives you accountability and a perspective you just can't get on your own. This blend of really deep wisdom and very practical application, Well, that's exactly why Mussar is having such a huge moment right now, way outside the traditional schools in Lithuania, where it all started.
So while the traditional practice was very rooted in Orthodox Jewish communities, the modern revival has really opened it up for a 21st century audience. It's mostly in English now, often uses universal language that avoids God talk, and it's incredibly welcoming to people of all backgrounds, all faiths, all levels of belief.
And you can just see how broad the appeal is here. It doesn't matter if you're a spiritual seeker looking for a practical path or a parent just trying to find more patience. Some people literally call it an instruction manual for calm parenting, or even a professional trying to be a better leader. The audience is so diverse, but the goal underneath it all is the same: learning how to be a better, more intentional human being.
Now, it's probably worth making a quick distinction here. You've probably heard of Kabbalah, right? Another part of Jewish spirituality. Just think of it like this. Kabbalah is spiritual, mystical. It's about exploring hidden, cosmic realities. Mussar is spiritual, practical. Its laboratory isn't some ancient, secret text. Its laboratory is your commute, your dinner table, your office, your daily life.
So really, Mussar is a bridge. It's what connects your highest ideals with how you actually act in your real life. It's about making sure the person you are when you're meditating or praying is the same person who shows up in a stressful meeting or when you're dealing with your kids. It's about making your inner life and your outer life one whole thing.
And that brings us right to our final thought. Mussar's big idea is that your life's greatest challenges, they aren't random obstacles. They are your unique curriculum for growth. So I'll just leave you with this question. If you had to name 1 or 2 soul traits that are on your curriculum right now, what would they be? Thanks for joining us for The Explainer.